Welcome, everyone, to SI Media with Jimmy Traina. Thank you so much for listening. We have an excellent show for you this week. We have Adam Zucker from CBS, who will host Selection Sunday and will be in studio for many hours over the next few weeks with the NCAA tournament going on CBS and Turner. And Adam gives us a feel here. You know, Adam coming in, hard to use the word replacing, but with Greg Gumbel's passing, Adam now goes into that role. So we talk about Greg Gumbel, what he meant to Adam, and get into what it's like to host the selection show and be in studio for the NCAA tournament, doing the updates, the highlights, halftime with Charles and Kenny and Clark Kellogg, of course. So it's a really good conversation with Adam Zucker. And then, of course, my buddy Sal Licata joins me for the Train of Thought segment following the interview with Adam Zucker. Before we get to it, just a quick reminder, actually two things. One, you can now listen to the SI Media podcast if you are a SiriusXM subscriber. The pod is now on the app, the SiriusXM app. So all you have to do, if you go to search, put in my name or just put in SI Media, and this podcast will come right up. So I don't know if you're in the car, stuff like that. It's easier to use SiriusXM than Apple or Spotify. You can now listen to this pod on SiriusXM, which is great. And also, there was a request last week to start posting the podcast as well as my column on Blue Sky. I'm doing that now. Jimmy Traina is the name there. So you can get all that stuff there. And then lastly, make sure you listen to any episodes you may have missed in recent weeks. Brian Curtis from The Ringer was on last week, where we covered all of the latest sports media news. Had a podcast with MJF from AEW, which was a must listen for any wrestling fan. And Jay Billis was on a couple of weeks ago from ESPN. He was outstanding. So make sure you listen to those if you miss them. Make sure you subscribe to SI Media with Jimmy Traina. And if you can rate review on Apple, that helps as well. All right, let's get to it. Adam Zucker from CBS, followed by Sal Licata and Train of Thoughts. All right here, right now on SI Media with Jimmy Traina. All right, joining me now, very happy to have him. First time here on SI Media with Jimmy Traina. We will be seeing a lot of this gentleman over the next few weeks as the NCAA tournament kicks into gear. He will host coverage for the selection show, and then we'll see him throughout. He is Adam Zucker from CBS. Adam, how's it going?
It's going well. This is like final exam week, just the way it's championship week, right? So it's a blast.
It's a good time. Here in New York, at least East Coast, the weather changes a little bit, and then you have like the day games for the. It's a good time for a sports fan, that's for sure.
Yeah, I try not to get too tempted by the warm weather and the sunlight because I know I've got homework to do, but that's kind of how I've kind of been my homework.
I want to get into that homework for sure and get into what these next few weeks are like for you. But we should start by talking about Greg Gumbel a little bit, because Greg obviously hosted the selection show and then did the studio for the tournament. When I was looking it up, I think it was since 1997, which is a hell of a run. Greg did not do it last year, had some issues that were sort of kept quiet, and then obviously passed away a few months after that, unfortunately. Had him on here once. He was phenomenal. I would imagine a huge mentor of yours over at CBS, given what you do and what he did.
He was very much the vibe of the place, and such a sweet man and a kind guy. And I remember going to dinner with him at the Final Four maybe a decade ago, and I thought it was going to be a big group of people because he had texted me and said, "Hey, you want to grab dinner?" And it was just us. And he was the mentor by example. He was someone, so like I was usually on the cable side, Studio 44, right across the hall from 43. So my repeated visual memory of Greg, besides everything that everyone else sees on the air, is he would get done in Studio 43 with the afternoon slate of games. Always came over where I'd be working like the 3 p.m. to 2 a.m. or whatever. He'd always come over to grab me, pull me in the hallway, see what's up. And he was like that with everybody. And we all really miss him a lot. I would say a lot of people still don't have, say, closure. I texted with him on Thanksgiving, And we have a mutual friend and a mutual producer, Deb Gelman. And she had told us, hey, you guys are going to work Thanksgiving. We're doing basketball on Thanksgiving for the first time. We got these great games with Arkansas, Illinois. This coming Thanksgiving, it'll be Duke in Arkansas. And so I was wishing him a happy Thanksgiving anyway, but I sent him a video of our Thanksgiving meal that Deb had tempted us with as a way of getting us into work that day. And we went back and forth a bunch on Thanksgiving, about a month before he passed. And I still, at that moment, thought, hey, Greg will be back for the selection show. Greg will be back at some point.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it still hurts. We're going to honor him like crazy this tournament. And I'm looking forward to being a part of all of that.
That was my next question. I should clarify. I had said Greg had passed a few months after sort of March Madness. It was late in 2024. I remember it was around the holidays.
Yes.
So just to be clear on that, I was going to ask about, I'm sure, I don't know if the plan is Selection Sunday or if the plan is for that first Thursday of the tournament. I'm sure we'll be seeing some pretty special tributes to Greg on CBS.
And the joke that we all, not the joke, but the thing we smirk and think of Greg about when talking about this is he would hate it.
Yeah.
He would really hate it. Like, enough about me, get to the bracket. Enough about me, get back to the game. Yeah. So I know we have a lot planned, and I'll let you experience it as a viewer for the first time. So it's, you don't have the rundown, you don't have the script at home either. But I think it'll be proper and to his liking.
So we'll see something on the selection show for sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And then you have that first Thursday, obviously.
First Thursday, and that'll be Ernie. Ernie will take us on for sure.
Okay.
Thursday, and I think a proper special on Greg, later in the tournament.
Okay, great. So it's interesting, so you're going to come in and host. Obviously, the circumstances around it, not what anyone would want, but you did it last year. So take me through what last year was like and what this year is like, differences, and now becoming sort of the face of the selection show.
Thank you. Yeah. I was worried about the flow of unveiling the bracket. What do I say? How much do I say? How do you know when Clark, Jay, or Seth are jumping in? Which, by the way, is basically a hand wave. Like, that's, hey, let me say something here. Clark likes to not even look at a bracket in advance. He likes to experience it as a viewer. So I had some concerns. Just, hey, how am I going to manage the flow? It's just a completely different show. The show is the event as opposed to the pregame, halftime, or postgame. But what was great was like, kind of like warm-ups for a game. We had the Big Ten semifinals in Mountain West Saturday. We had the A10 championship and Big Ten championship Sunday. By the time we got to the selection show, I was already at full speed and felt really good about it, and had really thought deeply about what we were going to say about Greg more than anything. And I wanted that to come out as emotionally honest as possible without not being able to continue my job,
right,
and unveiling the brackets in that moment.
Yeah. The show is only an hour, and you got to get through the brackets. So I would imagine it's not, I don't want to use the word difficult. That's not the right word, but I would imagine, like, just by doing it once, it's going to be so much easier for you this year. Just to have that 1 year under your belt. Do you think, is that true?
I would say so, for sure, because I know what worked the last time. And the biggest thing is preparation. And so, like, I have these cards, I'll show you. I live by these: football season, basketball season. They have this on the back depending on the year. Like, it'll say Big Ten on CBS in the fall. So Drake won the Missouri Valley, and I've got my Drake card ready to go. And this will continue to get filled in as I add more. But for selection show purposes, I'll choose one nugget or off of here for each team, maybe two. But usually we're trying to keep this thing moving, give everyone the bracket, and not belabor it. Let my guys jump in with what they want to say about a team. So every automatic bid so far, I've got a card for. All the obvious at-large teams, I've got a card. But the biggest thing is, like, we'll get done on that Saturday with the Mountain West Championship, and a lot of people go home. Everyone's done with their TV jobs. I go out and sit next to this guy, Wayne Fiddleman, and he's one of the people in my ear with nuggets and info, and he does his version of these too. And he's the one who puts the cards in the order based on how we reveal the bracket. And I'll sit down next to Wayne and we'll watch all the late Saturday night games unfold. And we'll put the cards in alphabetical order. And I'll write on his cards the nugget I want to use for that team. And then I go to bed Saturday night knowing Wayne's got this. And as Sunday unfolds and more bids come through, I'll add some more to those cards, and then he'll get them in order for when the bracket is unveiled.
Got it. So did you, again, obviously not the circumstances you want, but did you love doing the selection show last year? Was it fun? Was it a rush? Was it challenging? Was it difficult? What was sort of your first time going through it? What were the emotions and reaction to it?
It was the first three of those things that you said.
I don't remember what I said. I think I said fun. I think
it was a rush. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was challenging. I wouldn't say difficult, just because I got so many great people around me, and there are moments that can feel like you're on a balance beam, but this felt more like I was on a path. And between the rhythm we got in and the help around me and just watching games
right
all the time and knowing the scenario and having my notes. It was a real rush. And look, I know who I am. I'm a studio guy, right? Like, I don't go do play-by-play. It's the one time now that the CFP has a show and has 4 teams and we don't know, and now 12 teams. And who knows how many soon.
Right.
It's the one studio show that is the event. Right.
Yeah.
So it's we hold this result in our hands and we need to give it to you, and we're going to give it to you quickly as possible.
I was just going to say, not to simplify it or downplay what you have to do, but if you can reveal the brackets as soon as possible, you've already won over people. That's you keep people waiting, you get people pissed off, and then there's a problem. But there was that one year, I remember one year they changed the format and it was just complete anarchy. So but we don't have to worry about that anymore. Yeah. Take me through now. I want to get to when the tournament starts, that first Thursday, and you're in studio. What those days are like for you. I would imagine those are a challenge because those are long days. I mean, you split it up with Ernie Johnson, as you mentioned earlier.
Yes.
But give me your overall sense of what those days are like. Give my listeners I would love to know, start to finish, what that day is like, those days, especially the first round. When it gets later, Elite 8, Final 4, you're down to just a handful of games. So it's like pretty much any other Saturday probably during the regular season. But take me through that first weekend when it's mayhem.
First round to second round is probably the biggest difference, like you said. Ernie will take us on Thursday. And if he needs, to go to the lefty, then I can come in on Thursday. Otherwise, I'll be in.
So there's no set plan for when you come in. It's when Ernie wants you to come in.
Well, the plan is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'll start the day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Thursday, I think he'll go full run. But I'm around. And it used to be where I was in the update room, which Jamie Erdahl is going to be doing again. And that was, I loved doing the updates. I remember telling Ian Eagle that UMBC had defeated Virginia. And that game was because we were updating every possible commercial of every game possible because UMBC just kept extending that lead. Oh, that's my dog.
I hear the dog. What's the dog's name?
Missy Moo. She's nonstop, actually.
Missy Moo. Where'd that name come from, Missy Moo?
Yeah. So my wife's allergic to dogs, and we had to get a dog that was specifically, the poodle mixed with this, mixed with that. So we had to go. We didn't adopt her, and I'm sorry, but we got a Bernedoodle, and her name was Missy, based on the breeder. And my daughter refused to change her name. She said, "This is her name. We should not change her name." And she's black, white, and brown. She kind of looks like a cow. She has like cow spots.
So Missy Moo. Got it. I like it. That's a good story. All right.
That's it. All right. Yeah. And she doesn't leave me alone. I had to use the toddler gates and close a door in my guest room here to do this with you.
So if Missy Moo barks, it's fine. We'll plow right through it. We don't care. So go ahead. Take me through that that. So Ernie will handle Thursday. You
Yep.
like doing the updates, but now
Loved it.
so Friday you'll come on the air
Yes.
first.
Yeah,
Okay.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And so Jamie will do the updates. And in the past, there were years where I would do the updates for much of the day and then jump in the chair later in the day to relieve Ernie or Greg, whoever, was timing out, whatever was going on. And that was actually the night FDU beat Purdue. I jumped into the chair that night. So that was really cool. And just kind of kicking back and watching Charles and Kenny do their thing is amazing. The way Charles engages everybody off the air and chops it up and gets Kenny and Clark going on stuff is almost not. It's not just entertaining. It's a lesson. It's a lesson, like in how to manage a long day where you're sitting at a desk and got to keep the biorhythms up versus shut it down, flip the switch. So those can be long days. We get up. Clark likes to put his feet up on the desk because he's long, and get the blood flowing again. And then I used to do the late night cable highlight show on CBS Sports Network after all that. And so as time's gone on, you chisel away and let's focus on, you're going to be on the desk for CBS and Turner. Let's not worry about the late night show now. Let's not worry about the updates now. So it's a rush, but once you get to that Saturday, Sunday, like you said, it's like a normal doubleheader, tripleheader type of day on CBS.
Even that first weekend, Saturday and Sunday are much different than Thursday, Friday.
Yes, because you have the standalone games on Saturday and Sunday in those windows. So, you're focusing on the tournament now. You're doing tournament stuff, and we have great people everywhere doing the features and behind the scenes. But it calms down tremendously.
I kind of, from a totally selfish standpoint, there's a part of me that, well, I shouldn't say, I was going to say that I hate the way they've got it now down pat where there's not too many overlaps and they try to have some standalone games. Because my favorite thing, were you a Mike and the Mad Dog listener? I know you were a New Jersey guy.
Yeah.
My favorite thing, well, I shouldn't say my favorite, but one of my favorite things about Mike and the Mad Dog when I listened to them growing up was on that first Thursday and Friday, they would just rip CBS to shreds their entire show for not switching the games properly. And it was great radio, and I miss those days desperately. But
I remember listening to them. So I had called, I might get the year wrong, and I hate when I do that. I called Ryan Blackwell hit a game-winning shot against St. John's in the Big East semis. I think it was 98, my senior year. Because when I graduated Syracuse, my first job was in Syracuse, so sometimes I get the years wrong. But I was driving when Syracuse was playing, I think, Iona in the tournament. And I don't know if it was 96, the run to the championship game, or 98. But Mike and the Mad Dog were trying to tell people, they were basically doing play-by-play on the radio. I'm not even sure that they were supposed to. But Mad Dog was calling Marius Janulis, like Marius Janilius. And I'm sitting there driving like a beat-up Jeep through Syracuse, like wanting to be a radio guy, thinking like, come on, get the name.
Well, he doesn't get any names right, so that. But
right.
they used to. I'm sure CBS doesn't like hearing this, but they used to destroy CBS for not. They'd be like, "This game, it's a 30-point blowout." And they keep going. They need to go to this game now. The schedule, they stagger all the games, so you don't run into that as much. I want to go back because you mentioned Charles and Kenny. Is it ever awkward? I don't even know if awkward's the awkward, uncomfortable. I don't know if those are even the right words, but Ernie, Kenny, Charles is such an iconic all-time team, and you have Shaq in there, but he doesn't do the tournament. And when you got to come in for Ernie, are Charles and Kenny? I'm sure they're very nice and professional, all that, but is there any like hazing? Is there any like, hey, you're not Ernie? Don't like? Is there any of that, or they're totally smooth with you?
Very smooth with me. Very smooth with me, and I always seek them out in the hallways. I try not to bother them on the desk when they're maybe hearing somebody watching games. So I'll try to find them Thursday. Even if I'm not on Thursday, I'll try to find them in the makeup area or when they're on a break and just catch up with them. So I've had a great time with them. Ernie is amazing. And then I also have, Clark's next to me all season. So he's right there too to catch me up on
Yeah.
kind of what the running joke of the day might be and that kind of thing if I haven't seen it. So they've been so kind to me and welcoming to me, and even though I had worked with them a bunch already as the season was wrapping up last year, and Charles said something about working with everybody at CBS and mentioned me, I was like, wow. Like people texted me not because they saw me working with Charles, but because Charles mentioned me.
Right.
And they're great. It's awesome.
It does say something too that Charles and Kenny can have this amazing chemistry with Shaq and on their show, and then they come in and they have almost that same exact chemistry with Clark Kellogg. Like it fits and works perfectly, which is great for us who are watching. When you guys are off air in the studio waiting to come on air, is Shaq rooting? Is Charles there rooting for his wagers? I would imagine he's probably very into it.
I've always thought he's rooting for his bracket, like because they have the bracket in the corner.
Yeah.
And I remember the one segment I did with them where Kenny like flipped the board around to show Charles's side, and he almost got Charles with the metal corner of the of the board, which that became a thing. I think it's been awesome where they're rooting for their alma maters, and the way Kenny adopted Yale against Auburn in the past. And now, Charles has always been great with the little guy, whether that's me or someone behind the scenes. And I think there's a lot of great stories out there about how Charles treats the little guy, roots for the little guy. Well, now Auburn is going to probably be, Clark says it's already locked. Cement is dry. Auburn will be the number 1 overall seed. So Charles will have the favorite.
Everyone,
so
I can't wait to see how
he goes after him with that.
Yeah, for sure. Tell me, so that first Friday when you have the bulk of the coverage, what is the most difficult thing that day for you? What's the biggest challenge to get through that day?
Probably where there's like a halftime of one game, and then suddenly you're doing the time between games at another location, and you had your eyes and ears hardcore on the game you're doing halftime of, and it takes forever for that halftime to that first half to end. And so you're locked into that first half, and you talk about that game a lot. And then all of a sudden, this other game just ended, and you may not know all of what happened. And now you've got to welcome them on. All right, let me quickly figure that out. And there's no time for, there's no rehearsal. There's no looking at scripts, maybe not even looking at a rundown. It might just be, hey, write this down. You're going to do this, this, this. This is that order, this and that. But that's where I kind of get an adrenaline rush too.
Right.
Kind of take a deep breath. Yeah. Take a deep breath and just think, we got this,
We've talked so much about college hoops. You also do college football studio for CBS, and this was a big year for them because they added the Big Ten into the portfolio. Do you have a preference on sport, college football, college basketball? Like, do you like one a little more than the other? Not in terms of your job, in terms of being a fan.
I love football. I love football. I love baseball also. I love basketball. I would say that I have the privilege of doing the best regular season in sports, which is college football, and the best postseason, which is college basketball. I mean, NFL is NFL, right? NFL playoffs, and the way the nation is consumed by fantasy and everything, NFL regular season, I get that. But for my purposes, I kind of feel the same thing on a college football Saturday, especially when we get into conference play or November, as I do during the tournament. Because traditionally, college football, you can't lose twice. Now you can. But I would say I don't, luckily I don't have to choose, and they don't overlap too much. So I get that great regular season previously with the SEC, now with the Big Ten, and then the tournament, which I'm pumped. We talked about the recommendation by Mark Pope from Kentucky that they expand not the tournament, but expand the regular season in college basketball. I'm good. Like I'm good. Let's get the tournament going.
Yeah, for sure. I was going to go somewhere with college. Oh, that's what I was going to ask you. obviously you do the college football for CBS. You mentioned NFL. Do you have interest one day in getting into the CBS NFL coverage? I mean, if James Brown ever left, would that interest you, or you're strictly a college guy, or would you want to maybe dip into the NFL at some point one of
Oh,
these years?
I haven't really thought about it that much, to be perfectly honest with you.
Mhm.
When the NFL crew went on the road for big games, they took the studio on the road, not
Yeah.
just AFC Championship or Super Bowl years, but like big games.
Buffalo. Yeah.
Buffalo, Detroit.
Yeah.
Um, and I was in the hallway and I heard someone say, "Yeah, Adam's going to be doing updates for that." And I was like, "I am?" And they were talking about Adam Shine, my friend from Syracuse,
Right.
who was
Yeah.
doing the updates, and he's an NFL guy. So like that was like, oh, that'd be cool. But you know what I really love is spending Sunday kind of drooling a little bit, because I spend all day and night
Right.
Saturdays in college football, and I'm an AP voter, and it's a big effort of mine to hop around and watch everything. And my son plays football, high school, and I love Sundays with him, and I love watching the games, or just having that one day where no one's in school or at work in our house. So
Right. Right. I got that. It's such a weird sports media nerd take, but I love Shine doing those updates. I don't
oh
know
yeah,
what it was, but I mean, obviously he's got this unreal voice. I mean, the pipes are absurd on Adam Shine, but there was like, it reminded when he did it, I think 2 games this year, maybe 3, 2 weeks. It reminded me of those old school days before the internet and red zone, when you would get the adrenaline rush when they'd go to the studio. Now they go to the studio, no offense, on an NFL Sunday, and like, already what they're showing you. But with Shine, he has that pizzazz. I was like, this guy should be. They should have him doing this every week. It's tremendous.
here's his genius. Okay, we were at Syracuse. I was a year older, and we're when you're a student at Syracuse, you go to WAER, right? Like Mike Tirico, Ian Eagle, Bob Costas, Marvell. There's a whole line.
Yeah,
Sean
we'll be here
McDonough.
all day. Yeah,
I'll leave everybody out.
yeah,
Um, you're thinking, I want to get on the air and do sportscasts. I want to be the pregame guy, the halftime guy, the postgame guy. And then you work your way to doing play by play. And the goal is really, even if you don't do it till you're a senior, if you end up calling Syracuse football games, then that's really the top. And so calling Donovan McNabb football games was great. But you take turns. Adam Shine said, hey, he went like outside the box. Said, instead of us just doing the normal post game show and then tossing it back over to NPR Jazz and News on 88.3, everyone is now driving home from the game or was listening to it or watching it. Why don't we start a call-in show? And now they're everywhere, of course. But this
right.
was during the toddler days of talk radio and taking calls from viewers. So it became primetime Adam Shine, and Adam Shine he's like, don't worry about play by play, don't worry about. He wanted to do this and carved it out for himself.
Primetime Adam Shine. What a perfect name for a show. That's as good. Did you? I mean, it is. We joke, but it is wild that Syracuse just churns out one after another. Especially, it seems like there was a specific time period there where so many sports media people coming out of Syracuse. When I have to assume, if you went to Syracuse, you knew in your high school days or earlier you wanted to get into sports broadcasting.
I really did. I would watch games on my couch with my uncle, and especially Yankee games. And I don't remember doing like the Marv Albert thing specifically where I'm calling it. It was more almost like an amateur analyst, like yelling at the TV and saying something about the game. And then someone would say that. And I basically got blessed, born with my dad's voice. I didn't have to, drink whiskey and smoke cigars or whatever. So I got lucky there. And I went to Syracuse with the hope that I could do this. My only experience actually in high school, because I went to a really small high school, we didn't have the technology. He still doesn't believe me for sure, I don't think. I actually went to Bill Raftery's sports broadcasting camp at Montclair State University between, I think, my sophomore and junior year of high school. And
was Bill at the camp ever?
yes, Bill was at the camp, And I heard about it because someone who worked with my dad knew him. And so my dad came home with this brochure, like a trifold to this sports broadcasting camp. Jerry Eisenberg from the Star Ledger and NJ.com, he did the print media part. And our guest counselors that week were Chris Fowler and John Saunders. So I just that was my only real time trying to record myself, do anything like it.
So what did they do at Bill Raftery Broadcasting Camp? Like, was it just giving you reps on doing games? What was it, them giving you advice? What was like the overall gist?
It was simultaneous with an ABCD basketball camp going on. And so we had handheld recorders, and we would record ourselves kind of holding a paper roster and announcing it. And then we would get feedback from the different counselors who were there. And it was very much an eyes wide open kind of feeling. Like, even though I wasn't on the air, even though no one was going to hear it, like, you're on, and you feel accountable for what you're going to say. And then I did morning announcements at my high school, and I got actually suspended for that because I would give like sports results, and I would say, hey, there's a bake sale going on, this and that. And then there'd be, say, like a minute until homeroom. And I would spin around, the late bell's a minute away. And I would do like 1 minute to the late bell, 30 seconds to the late bell. And then I would see people running in the hallway. And I would say, 20 seconds to the late bell, Mark Odenwelder. 10 seconds to the late bell, Amy Cardes. And I went.
They suspended you for that?
I went right from the announce booth to the principal's office the next day because whoever it was that I called out didn't take well to it.
So it was the calling out of the students' names for running around almost being late that got you in trouble.
Yeah, I've always been a ball buster, so sometimes you got to realize people don't.
That's a ridiculous reason for a suspend. I mean, I could see that happening today where everyone's so sensitive, but back then,
I mean, suspended from the announcements, not from school.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I was taken off the air.
For how long? Do you remember?
I think it was like 3 days.
Oh my God. That's funny. That's because you mentioned. Oh, wow. That's something that would happen today.
You're right.
How did you get from Syracuse to CBS? Was that difficult? Did you get lucky? What happened in terms of, because I was shocked when I was doing research that you've been with CBS since 2003, I believe is what your Wikipedia said. I mean, that is unbelievable that it's been 22 years at CBS. So.
The timing was, I mean, like you said, lucky, right? So timing was everything, and having just the right people to vouch for me was huge. So my first job was in Syracuse after college, and that was because I had a sports reporting teacher, Rob King, who's now in Pittsburgh, voice of the Steelers. He was my teacher, but he was also the sports director at the CBS in Syracuse. And I had an internship with him and Anthony Calhoun, who's at Wish TV in Indianapolis. And I was willing to pick up a camera and go drive to Fulton, New York and get the dirt track race and go to the AAA baseball game. I wasn't thinking I'm going to be the anchor here and get on SportsCenter. It was much more about, can you shoot? Can you edit? Can you do a couple features a week? Fill in on the anchor desk. And it was a dream job. You're graduating Newhouse and walking into a job in Syracuse, New York, where I was sending out VHS tapes all over the country, and was lucky enough that with that internship at that station, you get to do like a resume reel. So the news director could see what you look like on a real set. So that was a really cool year. And after that year, I got pulled in to be told that Granite Broadcasting was laying off my position across all of its stations. And I could still get Cobra benefits, 30 hours a week, but 30 hours is the max. And luckily enough, Syracuse was starting their own radio network separate from what they had done traditionally, like with a commercial station, bringing it more in-house, like with Learfield and that world. And Michael Veely, who was forever the voice of the Dome, I knew him from being at all these games. He recommended me for the host role. I was actually host and sideline reporter, and Dave Pash was play-by-play. And I got that job, and I also was able to go to my news director and say, if Rob and Anthony don't want to be going on the road for these Syracuse games. And Anthony soon left and Kevin Marr jumped in. I can go on the road at the university's dime, the radio network's dime. You hire a freelance camera guy, and now I'm doing stand-ups when Syracuse is at Cincinnati, I remember being at Toledo for a non-conference game, but even at Miami and at Virginia Tech, I could do stand-ups. Station has presence. Great. So that was the fall of 99 where I got through that with the 30 hours a week in the radio gig. Same news director pulls me in, says, look, this was great. Granite's telling me I got to get you down to 20 hours a week. And that's not sustainable. And I was in a position to do, I was going to be doing play-by-play of women's basketball and lacrosse, but the radio network understood I had to go. And that same news director, Lauren Tobia, he knew of a station in Scranton where the longtime sportscasters, both of them, were retiring or being, put out to pasture for being like the Ron Burgundys of their day, where those guys would make a nice amount of money in Scranton, Wilkes-Barre. And I went from making, I don't mind saying it, like I was getting 16 a year in Syracuse when I was full-time. And when I went to Scranton, I got a 2-year deal that kind of doubled that. And cheaper place to live, not knowing anybody. And I was the weekend guy there for almost 4 years. And sorry about that.
That's okay. That's okay.
I was the weekend guy for almost 4 years there. And you hearing that?
Yeah, but it's okay.
Okay.
There it is. Now it's gone.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Now it's back.
How about I answer?
Now it's back.
And so I met my wife there. She was at the local ABC. I was at the local NBC. And I got a call from a college friend of mine, Gideon Cohen, who had been at my agency and now was in charge of hiring the first on-air people for CSTV.
Which became CBS Sports Network,
which got bought by CBS and became CBS Sports Network, as we call it. There it is. So that was the long version.
Yeah. No. That's good because I get a lot of, I shouldn't say a lot, but I often will get college kids coming in the business. What advice? What can you do? What can you do? How can I do this? And I always say, just try to make as many connections as possible. That's almost more important than what you know. And that story sort of bears that out because you have that person from CSTV you didn't know at that time CSTV would become CBS Sports Network, but there's always a luck element involved.
Right. Like I always wanted to be a sportscaster in New York. And I was in Scranton for almost 4 years. And at a point where I had a cool job, my wife had a cool job. She wasn't my wife yet. But we were like, okay, we could live here. We could do this. There's still a place called Bear Creek Village. Man, like it is a little oasis that I could imagine living in again someday. And I was sending tapes out though to Charlotte, Pittsburgh, Philly. No bites just yet. And luckily this startup happened and it went from there. There was a time I freelanced for Fox 5 on the side during the subprime bust when ad sales were really slow. And I got a chance to cover the Yankees World Series team that beat the Phillies. I got to be at the Giants games, Jets, Yankees, Mets. So I kind of got that. I got that itch scratched, which was really cool. And then from there, it was filling in for Tim Brando, filling in for Greg Gumbel when they were either on the road or in their off season, and getting that chance to be, in Studio 43.
Yep. And then obviously here we go now with the selection show, the 20. I gotta ask, does CBS, every company does bracket pools? Are you in a bracket pool at CBS?
No, I'm not. I used to see them back in the day, no money. I won it the year, it was, I think it was the Kaminsky year with Duke and Wisconsin. But usually I try to I fill out a bracket and try to compare it with John Rothstein to see if I can beat Rothstein.
Okay.
I was notorious as a kid, my dad's office. Everyone knew that I wanted to be a sportscaster and everyone knew that my dad wasn't really a big sports fan. And so I would fill out a bracket for my dad's office and we would win, once every 3 years. And
I just can't believe this. there's not like a bracket pool with you and Charles and Kellogg and the whole gang, or Jay Wright. Like you should, it blows my mind away. It's
I
such,
sometimes wonder if there's one going on without me knowing about it. Like, oh, we shouldn't
Yeah.
tell we shouldn't tell Uncle Adam
Yeah.
that there's a bracket pool going.
Right. I'm only telling you this because you went to Syracuse, but I won the Sports Illustrated bracket pool once. I've been here since.
Which year?
And it was the year Syracuse won it all.
So you know what's funny about?
I think it was the Carmelo that year.
2003.
Yeah, that was the year I won it.
One of the
I'm in a
best
drought though.
experiences-
It's been a while.
You're gonna end the drought. Maybe now that Carmelo's kid is going to Syracuse, you'll strike again. But 2003, I was still in Scranton. That was my final year. And one of the forever stories I had in Scranton was Jerry McNamara in high school. So I covered Jerry. He had this, I think it was 54-point game in the state semifinals against the team they had lost to every year. And we covered Syracuse because of Jerry McNamara. We put our cameras on the buses when all these people dressed in Notre Dame gear would get on the buses from Scranton to go to Syracuse. And you'd have this huge portion of the upper deck at the Carrier Dome where Jerry would score and they'd go nuts. But then Notre Dame would score and they'd go nuts. And then Jerry would score, repeat. Like they were rooting for Notre Dame, but they were rooting for Jerry. That year, what's so funny is everybody picked Syracuse to win that year. So I didn't win. Jerry's father, Jerry Sr., who was a mailman in Scranton. We used to see him in our walks around the reservoir there. He came in like 5th in his own family pool. Because everybody.
That's not good. You don't want to be 5th. I'd rather be like, you don't want to be that close because then you feel like, okay, one game here and there. And I would have been in the money because usually they pay out top 3 or whatever.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
But yeah. Before we wrap, I got to ask you, because this whole time on YouTube, I've looked at your Don Mattingly picture behind your shoulder there. My all-time favorite Yankee.
Same.
So you grew up in Jersey. So give me the New York teams you rooted for across the sports. Yankees and what else?
Yankees, Giants, Knicks, and like hockey.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I would watch the Devils. Yeah. I would watch the Devils more because other people in my life liked the Rangers, and I would take the Devils against them, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was.
So growing up, Yankees, Giants, Knicks, which was the team you were most passionate about?
I would say day to day was definitely the Yankees, like Ricky Henderson, Willie Randolph, Don Mattingly, Dave Winfield. Like I remember
That's exactly when I got into it.
What'd you say?
That was exactly when I got into it. Was the Willie Randolph, cool. Dave Winfield? Yeah.
Yeah, I was on camping trips out west, and I remember we'd get to like a mini mart or whatever, and I would load up on Pringles and Dr. Pepper and the USA Today and see like, okay, in the week I was away, like have Mel Hall and Jesse Barfield rallied the troops? No.
Yeah.
No. And then the Giants teams with Bavaro and Otis Anderson also. And I remember my parents were doing work on the house during the Persian Gulf War, and Otis Anderson, saying he dedicates this win to our troops, and the crazy low scoring NFC Championship game against the 49ers. So those were fun years. Giants now tough. Yeah,
they've got a lot of problems. But I've been enjoying looking at Donnie Baseball there throughout the interview. It's funny because with the whole beard thing a few weeks ago coming into play, I mean, can you imagine in this era of social media and Twitter and all this, that situation when he got suspended because his hair was too long? I mean, the guy was the best player in the team, probably the best player in the game, was just as beloved as anyone, and the Yankees are suspending him because his hair was too long. That story today would be like complete anarchy. It would be DEFCON 5 or whatever.
It'd be constant. There'd be cameras outside the locker room. I just wish that he got a shot. And obviously the year where, maybe they would have played the Expos in the World Series or if he didn't get hurt the way he did. Because his swing was just liquid. Even though I don't do baseball for work and haven't for a long time, at least, like as a father with my son, baseball's been our sport. So I got to coach him from first grade until 8th grade. Now he's a sophomore. So there is something so great about baseball. Even if it's going to be a rough year for the Pinstripes.
Yeah, it's not looking good right now.
No,
Maybe CBS can make a bid for the ESPN MLB package that's going to be available after this year, and there you go. Now,
yeah.
hypothetical. Let's say CBS got just total hypothetical. Let's say CBS gets the package for MLB. Would you want to do studio or play-by-play?
Studio at the stadium.
Okay.
Do what I do, but on site, because that's
like
been
that.
actually a real joy with our Big Ten coverage. We had started to do it. The Bama LSU game that was Joe Burrow visiting Tua, and LSU won their title year, high scoring game. Having the studio on the road, not just for the conference championships and Army Navy, which is awesome to be on site for now, because we used to be in studio with the Heisman finalists. That'd be fun.
All right.
That'd be cool.
Let's see. Someone has to come in and save baseball. Let's go CBS. All right. Adam, I appreciate it. Like I said, we'll be seeing a lot of you over the next couple of weeks. Selection show is this Sunday at 6:00 Eastern. That's Clark Kellogg, Jay Wright, and
Seth Davis.
And then, of course, so we'll see you Friday with Charles, Kenny, and Clark Kellogg, which will be fun for sure. Appreciate you taking the time. I know it's a busy week for you, so thanks for doing this.
Jimmy, thanks to you. Appreciate it.
All right. Enjoy the tournament. Thanks. All right. Joining me now, as he does every week, for our Train of Thoughts segment from WFAN Radio in New York, SNY TV in New York, my buddy Sal Licata. Sal, how the hell are you?
What's going on? How are you this week?
I see you got the glasses on. Now, I thought with the cataracts on both eyes, we don't need the glasses.
I need reading glasses, and the way that the phone is so close to my eyes, I just figured this would be better for me. My left eye still not 100%. So yeah. You think most people listen to this and don't watch, right?
Well, way more people listen, but more and more people are watching on YouTube. So
okay. I was never really worried about my look before, but now I am a little concerned about that.
I mean, listen, you're a top New York sports media figure. You gotta be cognizant there,
I will be, by the way, on that note, I will be filling in for Giannotti tomorrow with Boomer.
The problem with that is this podcast will be out 5 a.m. Thursday, so maybe some people will get it.
I'm just telling, I meant more for you. Like, I'm going to be on TV in with Boomer. I've never done
a show with okay. Let me
never done a show with Boomer before, so looking forward to that. But
let me set the DVR.
Anyway,
that's good to know. What else? I'm good. I was close to a booking meltdown this week again, but it actually ended up working fine.
Give me the details. What happened?
Well, hang on. I got a cough. All right. So there's been an A-list person I've been trying to get on the pod who ghosted me for basically 6 months. So that factor, and I reached out to this person again, I think over the weekend. So that was that issue. Then between Sunday and Monday, I reached out to 3 potential guests for this week. Didn't hear from any of them. So then I booked Richard Deitch to come on this week. And no exaggeration, within 5 minutes of booking Deitch, 2 of those 3 people got back to me within 5 minutes after I booked Deitch, right within 1 minute of each other.
That always happens, doesn't it? So
Deitch was nice enough to understand getting bumped. He'll be on next week or the week after. I'm somewhere down the road. And then the A-lister who ghosted me texted me back at like 11:30 Monday night. And that person will be on here somewhat soon, I think.
And when are you going to...
And there was another person I had booked, and he wanted to do it and was all gung-ho about it. And then his agency told him not to do it. I guess all of a sudden now, I'm Walter Cronkite, and this is like some hard-hitting, they're afraid of me or something. So
I need to know these names. I can't wait to find that out.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
I'll let you know the names after. So yeah, but we had a great so Adam Zucker was just on from CBS. He was great. So it all worked out well. Now we have you here to discuss some random things that I have a whole list of things to discuss. So,
I'm ready for you. What do we got?
Well, Where do I want to start? Well, I will say, I don't know. You were probably on the air Monday dealing with it, but Twitter going down during NFL free agency and the complete panic that set in for every single sports fan there is, or NFL fan, it is amazing. Like, we rely on Twitter in this business way too much, myself included. So, I'm putting myself in this category, but it was actually kind of scary.
Well, I liked it in the aspect of, okay, well, now what? Now what do you do on a day where it's important to get that news out there? What do? How do you get that out there? How are these reporters and writers going to get their message across? So I'm sure there's still ways digitally, but it also makes you think back to how it used to be, where it was either done on the radio, done the next day.
Well, there's a million ways. Yeah, there's so many social media platforms. I know that Adam Schefter started posting everything on Instagram, but in my brain, I don't look at Instagram as a place to get any news.
Right.
So it's a weird one for me.
I wouldn't go there, nor would I want to go there for news.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, listen, if Twitter's down and he's posting every free agency signing on Instagram, I would go there. I didn't know at the time that's what he was doing.
I don't care enough about that in the short term to go there. Some other people would if you needed to. Fine. My bigger question is, what if Twitter ceased to exist?
Well, there again. You have Instagram, you have TikTok, there's Blue Sky now. Just to piggyback on that, last week in this segment, I read a review from someone asking me to post on Blue Sky. All I do is I post the column every day in the podcast on Blue Sky. I'm not really following anyone or posting or interacting, but you can get the column and the podcast on Blue Sky if that interests you. So, the reliance on Twitter is scary. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
For the sports world. It's still, I mean, I hate it with a passion and I hope it goes away, but for sports, that's still the place to get every piece of information.
All right, but here's the thing, and I wasn't even thinking this because I'm on the radio, but Adam Schefter works for ESPN, right?
Right.
So why not then just go to ESPN?
So I'm glad you said that, because ESPN now, they recently, I think, rebranded or relaunched, I think I have that right, their app. And when Twitter was down, ESPN was trying to drive everyone to their app. And I read something somewhere that said, there are almost 1 million signups for Schefter's alerts from the ESPN app. This leads me into a topic I wanted to discuss with you. So I had tweeted something about Twitter being down during NFL free agency, and someone said, you have to sign up for Adam Schefter's alerts. And I wrote back and said, I don't have one alert or notification that I am signed up for my phone. And I don't know, I guess that's a weird thing. I wanted to know, do you have alerts and notifications for anything?
No, the only thing that I have is SNY. We have a Slack channel thing.
That doesn't count.
I have alerts on that, although...
Yeah, that doesn't count. That's a work thing. I'm talking about for pleasure, not work.
Yeah, no. Even that is, I don't need it all the time. I hate it when I see the little thing come up. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's just useless, or it doesn't pertain to me or what I'm trying to do. But no, I don't want any alerts. Anytime I go to sign up for something, I'm saying, leave me alone. I don't want alerts on any. No, thank you. If I need it, I'll figure it out.
Yeah, I want my phone to buzz and vibrate and ding less. So I don't have any alerts, but I guess people do. I don't know. I'm with you. We use Slack. I mean, that's how we communicate here at SI, is with Slack.
Right.
So I have to, but I'm talking about people get alerts for this writer or that writer, or there's alerts for podcasts.
Does commuter things help? Because I just remembered I have a New Jersey Path alert in case something's going on with the Path ride, the Path train.
I think it counts as it's not a necessity.
But it is. It's more necessity than, or more necessary than Adam Schefter. I'll figure out who signed where eventually. If the train's done, I'm screwed,
there are people. Yeah, I could give you that one. I mean, there are people who sign up for alerts for I know, you can get an alert anytime the Yankees score during the game.
Yeah.
I mean, God bless you to those people. I don't know how you do it. Speaking of the Yankees, I know their number after the Cole injury. I looked at their team total; it was 89.5, and when I looked today, it was 88.5.
Wow.
I don't understand how anyone could bet the over.
I mean, the American League is weak. They're still the Yankees.
They lost Garrett Cole, Juan Soto, and their third starter, Heel, is out for a couple of months.
Yeah.
How are they supposed to be anything but worse than last year? And the people they brought in, Goldschmidt's 500 years old, Cody Bellinger.
You're high on the Yanks.
Whatever.
I like it.
I wish I could bet the under, but I can't bet against my team.
Yeah,
Terrible.
for the long haul, that's a tough bet.
Terrible.
I would bet the Red Sox at a price to win that division. They were I thought 3-1. Maybe it's less.
Yeah, I agree with that. Where are you at the NCAA tournament? Are you excited? You don't care?
I cannot believe how big of a story St. John's has become. Maybe you could tell me better than this. I know I'm in New York, so it's a little bit more.
Yeah.
But Rick Pitino's everywhere. He's everywhere. He's doing Jimmy Fallon. I think he did something else too nationally. Like, they're ranked what, 6th in the country. So because of the emergence of St. John's and Rick Pitino, I am more into Selection Sunday and the tournament just because of them alone.
You see, I don't see on the national end of it. I don't have any vibe at all that they're a thing. I hear about Duke. I hear about the SEC. I haven't gotten like the St. John's fever nationally. The other issue with St. John's for me on a personal level is that I can't bet their games. So
why? Because they're bad, or
you can't bet any college team in New York if you live in New York.
Meaning bad to bet as far as, they miss free throws and all that stuff. So
you
meant legitimately you could not.
Yeah. Like you can't bet Syracuse football or Syracuse basketball.
I did not know that.
You can't bet any college in the state of New York. If you, I don't know, maybe they think the kids.
Could I do that in Jersey? I don't know. Like, can I bet Rutgers if I wanted to?
I don't know what the rule is. The rules are different state by state. Like you're in Jersey, you could bet St. John's. I'm in New York, I can't bet St. John's.
Right.
So because I can't bet them, I don't watch them, and then they're out of sight, out of mind.
And that pertains even to the tournament, the NCAA tournament.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Wow.
They're not going to change a gambling law for the tournament.
Well, why not? March Madness. I mean, join the party.
Right. Well, that's my excuse me. That's my issue with St. John's. Can't bet them. But I don't get a vibe nationally that, I mean, I know he was on Jimmy Fallon, but I don't know. We'll see what happens, I guess, when the tournament. It will be interesting to see if what happens, when they win a couple of games in the tournament, how much New York gets into St. John's, because, college basketball is not a big thing around here usually, especially when baseball is going to be starting.
Right.
So we'll see. So the tournament starts Thursday, Friday. You'll be on the air. Well, you're on from 10 to 2, so you'll be on the air for when it tips off Thursday and Friday. And
yeah, but I don't think that's going to be. You're talking about like Big East tournament, a little bit different, and that's obviously tomorrow.
No, I'm talking about the real tournament.
Yeah, I mean, what am I going to do? I don't think that the listener is going to want to hear. It's an interesting thought, like just from a broadcasting perspective, because everybody in the sports world is going to be focused on that. But this is not the Mike and the Mad Dog days. I don't think people are going to be tuning in to hear BT and I, talk about who's switching what channel and what upset's happening at the moment. I think we'll probably do baseball or something like that, or maybe Rodgers, who knows, with, Giants quarterback.
Yeah.
We'll watch the games, but I don't think we're going to talk about them.
Yeah, well, because you're going to fill out a bracket. I would imagine Fan has like a huge bracket pool, big money.
They used to, not anymore, man.
Really?
Yeah.
That's surprising.
Did I ever tell you those stories? I'm sure I told you those stories about how I used to grade them at one point. I used to take home a whole thing of because it was all done manually. So people fill out the brackets. It was like when you graduated behind the scenes, it was your responsibility as part of the Mike and the Mad Dog show. It became mine to grade the brackets. And then those guys would be busting your balls. Hey, where are they? Where are the grades? You better make sure by Monday standings are updated and put them up on the. It was a thing.
I miss the days of the pen and paper. That's when it was fun. Now all digital.
Yeah, because they had fun bonuses in there as well. Like it was fun. I do miss that.
I haven't filled out a bracket in probably, I'd say 7 or 8 years.
So will you do it or no? You're done.
No, I'm done. I'd rather just
Right.
bet the games. I don't.
Yeah.
Those things are so hard to win.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I like just betting the game and that's it. I'll go to the main event one of the days with my buddy.
We used to do that.
Yeah. I'll be there for one of the sessions and bet the games and enjoy myself. Fun. I have a big breaking TV news bomb to drop on you.
This just happened?
Well, it's happened for about a week.
Oh.
I have started what is supposed to be one of the greatest shows in TV history that I fell into my radar. And that is The Wire from HBO. I finished one. I'm one season in, and I've watched the first episode of season 2.
And
I think it's great. Love it. Captivated me. Excellent show. I will say this: not even remotely close to the level of The Sopranos.
right.
And this is my reasoning for that. The Sopranos was great because it had the mafia stuff, it had Tony in therapy with Melfi, and it had all of the family dynamic with Tony, Carmela, and the kids, and even this, Janice, the mother. The Wire has no family aspect to it. Again, I'm just through season 1, so maybe it changes. But for me, season 1 of The Wire, which is all I've watched so far, is straight cops trying to get the bad guys. They have like the mafia part of it down if you're comparing it to The Sopranos, but they're not even remotely close to the family aspect of it. So, while I think it's a great show, and I could see why people think it's like a top 10, top 5 show of all time, which I wouldn't even disagree with. I don't think it's even on the level of The Sopranos.
Yeah, and wait till you watch season 2. Season 2 or 3 kind of goes rogue a little bit.
Oh, so you watched The Wire?
I love The Wire, yeah.
All 5 seasons you watched?
I watched it years ago. And actually twice, I think. I've seen it twice.
What is your take on The Wire compared to The Sopranos?
I think The Sopranos is better, but I also don't know. Like you're saying, there's no family, right? Which, yeah, technically and by definition of family.
Not just no family. The family dynamic in The Sopranos is a huge part of that show.
Right, but because it's more relatable to you and I.
Right.
Right? So the family in The Wire may not be a traditional family, but it's the young kids growing up with the drug dealing. That's kind of like the family aspect of it. I know what you're saying. Like, it's not obviously traditional.
I'm even just talking about little things like, Tony orders the Chinese food and it's the wrong order. And Carmela says you're supposed to check the food. He goes, what difference does it make if I check the food that's still not in the bag? I mean,
yeah, I get it.
When AJ went in the city and his eyebrows shaved off and Tony was like, what are you, some weird sexual proclivity? Tony with Meadow when she had the boyfriend and, he was African-American. Tony had a fit. That I'm talking about even that little family stuff.
To me, it's a different. I know they're compared because they're 2 great shows all on the same network.
Right.
But they are totally different shows. There's some violence in each, obviously. But
right. Yeah, I just know in the past, whenever I've tweeted about The Sopranos being the best show, inevitably someone's like, you didn't spell The Wire right. One of the dumbest Twitter things of all time is you spelled The Wire wrong. Oh my God, you're so creative. Oh God, you're so original. Love Twitter. The Wire is not even on the level of The Sopranos. That's just
you've seen Breaking Bad or no?
No, I couldn't get. I watched it. That was just the opposite of The Wire for me. I think maybe I watched the first season of Breaking Bad or a bunch of episodes in the first season, and it didn't do anything for me. Yeah, which I know that's supposed to be the best show, and I know that's on me. The Wire I loved right away.
Right. Some people love Breaking Bad. They say that's the best. I think still The Wire is better than Breaking Bad. I would have that down on my list.
That's good. Good. Did you see the video? It was from a Sacramento Kings game 2 days ago with what the game that they did in between quarters was with a fan on the court.
No.
They had a gas station pump, a gas pump.
Okay.
They set it to $25, and the guy had to pump it and get it on exactly $25 to win the prize.
The perfect
It was
pump.
riveting. It was riveting. Every sporting event should have that as in-game entertainment. If you haven't seen the video, find it. You'll be hooked.
Did he get it?
Yeah, that's why it was so good. I'll text it to you. You got to see it. It could be like a sporting event. What else did I want to get into this week?
It'll be in the Olympics soon. Gas pumping.
By the way, one thing from last week. Remember last week when we were talking about the John Cena heel turn, and I said Travis Scott punched Cody Rhodes in the face for real, and you were like, do you know it was real?
Yeah.
Did you see Cody by any chance any pictures? His whole side of his face is black and blue.
Yeah, I did see that.
Actually, I am irrationally pissed off at Travis Scott and have nothing but hatred for that guy.
Why? Because of that?
Yes, because of that. Well, two things. One, he was in this segment when he shouldn't have been, and I don't like him punching Cody Rhodes in the face.
Did you hear me with Seth Rollins talking about that? And because we just assume Cody's nice. We had Seth Rollins on the radio show or whatever earlier this week. And he's like, dude, Cody Rhodes could be – he said there could be a mean side to Cody after that. So who knows what really happened.
Well, there's this big rumor out there that I think you just never know with wrestling. But there's a story that was circulating that The Rock, well, I shouldn't say The Rock, Dwayne Johnson in real life went to Cody in real life and said he wanted Cody to turn heel at the Elimination Chamber. And Cody said no. And then that's why they did it with John Cena. I don't know if that's true or not, but that would be Cody, now playing.
See, that would have been a great heel turn. I'm not knocking the Cena thing, but we talked about it last week. Like, I think they missed the timing to really pop. Nobody would have expected Cody to do that. That would have been sick.
Well, there's a lot. There are a decent amount of fans who want Cody to turn heel, but he doesn't want to do it yet. Apparently, who knows if this is true or not? But it's all good for WWE.
Did you see Travis Scott, the merch that he's selling, the shirt?
No.
Wrestling is real.
Jerk. And anyone who buys the shirt is a jerk. I don't like it at all. Don't like it at all. Do you know? I'm all over the place here, but I just want to go back to this because we did talk about baseball. Does anyone in this country know that opening day, like there's a baseball game on Tuesday? Nobody knows.
Up today. Yeah. I saw that. So
it's will always be mind-boggling to me that baseball is so bad at their schedule. Like that, you don't open the season at 6:00 in the morning on a Tuesday.
Right.
It's just, what are you doing? I get it. International.
That's what time it is, 6 a.m.?
Yeah. It's in Tokyo, I think.
Right. That I know. Or Japan. I wasn't sure 100%.
At 6:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
And this is how you're supposed to grow the game. I don't. They don't have teams playing on 4th of July. They don't have teams playing on Memorial Day. This scheduling is just, I don't understand how the whole sport can be so god-awful at it. Opening day should be whatever day of the week you want it to be. 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 10 o'clock, every team playing, and let's go. It pisses me off. You don't care?
Oh, they're trying to grow the game globally.
Oh, my God.
I'm just, I know. And the NFL does the same crap. Maybe not the opener, but although they had an opener last year in Brazil, didn't they?
It was the second day. Thursday was a regular game, and then Friday. Yeah, but again, don't compare those two sports. That sport can do anything it wants.
And it was on at a normal hour, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was on 8:00 at night. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything from NFL free agency get your attention or catch your eye, or you want to?
No, I mean, I'm waiting for Rodgers like everybody else. I'm shocked that the Giants are showing interest there, but no, off the top of my head, nothing really jumping out. You?
Everyone's going crazy because the Bills signed Joey Bosa. I watched Joey Bosa a lot last year. He's not that good anymore. So I don't think that's the game changer that everyone thinks it is. The quarterbacks, I mean, Sam Darnold to Seattle. I do think it's weird that Seattle would cut all its receivers and then sign a quarterback.
Yeah. And that one, I don't think Sam Darnold's very good either. I know he had a good year with Minnesota for the most part, but.
Well, he was the best sort of what was out there. I mean, Russell Wilson and Geno Smith and
yeah, I mean they could have kept Geno Smith, and Geno Smith that goes to the Raiders now with Carroll. I like that fitting. Russell Wilson,
Justin Fields. Oh my God, that's going to be such a disaster.
Yeah, although it can't be much worse for the Jets than it has been in years. I'm not talking about specifically with the quarterback. At least he's got there's a floor there for Fields where him running the ball will help them be at least.
Well, you just proved my point, because I texted someone and I said Justin Fields is going to be a disaster with the Jets. The person writes back, he can run. Right. So the quarterback needs to throw. So if everyone's telling me he runs, that's all I need to know. The guy can't throw.
I know. I watched him.
It's quarterback. The position is quarterback. He needs to be able to throw.
Yeah.
Whatever. I do. The Kirk Cousins thing is interesting that no one wants him. Like, I totally get where if you're a team that needs a quarterback, you'd go Rodgers first. But Kirk Cousins is way better than Russell Wilson at this point.
Cousins stunk last year, though. Is he healthier this year? Maybe, not coming off the Achilles injury. But I thought he was terrible last year. Yeah, I never liked Cousins to begin with.
I was saying, if I needed a quarterback for the 2025 season, I'd much rather have Cousins than Russell Wilson.
Also, we don't know what the cost is yet, right? What is the deal with that? Atlanta trying to trade him instead of just cut him?
Yeah, I don't know. When it gets to the cap and all that stuff, I don't know.
I know. I think that's a part of it with Cousins because they just signed him to that big deal.
Like the Niners, cut $8 billion off their payroll, but I don't know. And they're like, oh, they're this much over the cap. I don't understand any of it. Yeah. Just let me watch the games. That's all I want to do.
How many months away are we?
Let's see. March, April, May, June, July, August, 7. It's a long time when you say it like that.
Too many. You want to get into the 4-month window and you start feeling okay about it.
At least, though, the tournament will keep you busy for a couple weeks. Then baseball will start. Then you get the summer. So we're out of the dog days.
I'm good with baseball in the summer. I'm ready
we're out of the dog days.
I got to have you over again for a pool party. That was one of my favorite days last year. You and Eddie Erickson came out. We got to do that again.
Yeah, I'm a good hang.
Yeah.
My friends are talking about it. Maybe a day trip to Mohegan in a couple of weeks. I'm trying to figure out if they want to do it in one day, and I'm just like, I'm just too fucking old for one day.
I know.
6 hours in the car all day gambling. I just think I'm too old.
Can't you just gamble from your whatever website you use? Go into the casino there from your couch. Order some food in.
That's it. Well, I mean, I would go to play table games. I would go play a little roulette, go play a little craps.
I feel like I don't miss that. Like we did it. You and I have done it together plenty of times, but I went through that period in my life. I don't have an itch to do that anymore.
I don't have the itch like I used to. Like I used to want to go to the casino all the time. I don't have that. But when someone says oh, you want to go spend the day there, and I think about that rush at the craps table when I'm betting don't pass and playing against the whole table. Yeah, I get a little excited.
I know. Well, right. I think there are a lot of things now as I am 45 years old that I'm like, oh, that sounds great. Yeah. Like I used to love doing that. Go out and go have some drinks or go to a show or go to a casino. And then in reality, it's like, I'd rather just stay home.
Well, that's a little, well, that's my hope. I have intriguing going, but doing it in one day is where I think, okay, that might be a little much for an old man now. Yeah. Plus, I have this thing with my back where I have this major back issue where my back is fine, but the pain is in my legs. So I can't stand at the tables for more than 15 minutes because I'll be in massive pain. So, craps is all standing up.
Now we just clinched that this is a very old podcast now.
Oh, very old. It's scary how old. It's just terrifying. But
I've known you how many years now? Have we been friends?
God, probably
2006.
I was gonna say when did you get fired from the fan?
So it was before that. Well, that was 2010.
So probably 2007-ish.
Right. So I was gonna say almost 20 years, which is wild.
Yeah.
When you think about it.
Old. Yeah. Well, you're younger than me at least. There was something I saw. Someone's age shocked me. It might have been Alyssa Milano is now you just see these people, Like Macaulay Culkin, he like turned 40 this year or something like that. And you're just like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, right. All right.
Because I still think in my head, I'm 28. Like that's the problem. That is the problem.
Right. Mentally, right. We are.
Yeah. Man, I could just reminisce about how much better things were back then, but now we rely on Twitter. It goes down. We have a panic attack, and what were you when you were doing your show? What were you doing for? Like, were you trying to get updates, free agency updates? Like, how was it when you were on the air with Twitter?
Yeah, it was fine. I still saw some stuff coming across one way or another. I was able to get the news, whether it was the work Slack or a producer figuring it out, or some stuff came through on Twitter for some reason, or I had McAfee on in the studio and they had the info there.
Got it. All right, Sal. Things are good. Everything is
all good.
All right.
For now.
No issues on the home front.
No, all good for now. Don't start anything. Don't start any trouble. Not today.
We'll see what happens when the tournament starts. And also, are you gonna wager on the tournament?
Probably not.
Oh, look at this. So reformed.
Yeah,
Proud of you.
I'm with you. I've been out of it on the brackets for years. Probably since I met my wife, honestly. She wasn't into it. I'm like, on a Saturday or Sunday, weather's starting to get better, especially now with our daughter. Like, I'm not going to sit around and bet. See, that's something, instead of going to the casino, like if you and I planned a day to have a bunch of people together, balls to the wall, watching games and betting, that's something that is appealing to me. But those days, for me, for the most part, are over because of the family.
Well, why don't you come to the main event? Oh, you have to work. I was going to say, come to the main event when we'll watch the games and bet all the games.
Yeah, Thursday, Friday. No, it sounds great.
You have to work.
Yeah.
Bummer. Yeah. All right. Well, Sal, have a good week. And next week we'll be taping right before the tournament starts. So we'll see. Maybe by next week you'll change your mind about.
I'll fill out a bracket. I'll pick my champion for you with my expertise. Exactly.
Yeah. All right, Sal, take it easy.
All right, talk to you later.
All right. All right, my many thanks to Adam Zucker. My thanks to Sal Licata. My thanks to you for listening. If you missed any recent episodes of SI Media with Jimmy Traina, make sure you go into the archives, check them out. Brian Curtis from The Ringer was on last week, where we did a little potpourri on all of the latest sports media news. MJF from AEW Wrestling was on as well last week in a bonus episode, so make sure you check that out if you're a wrestling fan. And I highly recommend the Jay Billis interview from 2 weeks ago if you didn't listen to it. He was outstanding. And once again, you can now listen to this podcast on the SiriusXM app. Just search my name or SI Media when you log on to the app, and the pod will come right up. All right. That wraps it up. We'll see you next week. Stay safe and take care.